Welcome. In this video, we are working on Chapter 2 of Access from our textbook. And in Chapter 1, we basically designed our database and we did just a very simple query. So Chapter 2, we're going to be doing several queries. So the first thing you're going to do is you are going to open up the file that you created for Chapter 1. So make sure Chapter 1 is finished. And then you're going to open the file for Chapter 2. Or open the file you did in Chapter 1, and the first thing we're going to do is rename it. So we're going to go to File, Save As, Save Database As, Save As, and it's going to ask you where you want to put it and what you want to name it. I recommend that you've got it in your documents. And this time we're going to make sure it says AC2 Pratt at the very beginning of it. That way we can keep track of which is Chapter 1 and which is Chapter 2. It says beginning file for students is what mine says. Yours is going to say something different, but I want it to say AC2 Pratt Queries, and I want you to type your name, okay, and hit save. This way, anything you do is not going to affect what you did in Chapter 1. Okay, now that we have the file renamed, so we're not going to get confused with what is Chapter 1 and what is Chapter 2, we're going to go ahead and enable content, and we're going to make this a trusted source. So basically, we want to make sure that our access file we're opening is not something that was sent to us that could contain a virus. We trust this database that we're opening because you made it. Okay, so we're going to create several different queries in this chapter. So if you remember from last chapter, a query is basically a question that you're asking. So for example, some of the queries we're going to do will say, give me the account number and the account name and amount paid and the current date, the current due for the account of JM323. Or another one is for each account manager, list the account manager number, last name, first name. Also list the account number and account name for each of that account manager's accounts. So we're asking a question. We want to know specifically this information. Here at school, the query could be, show me all the students who are seniors. Show me all the students that are in Mrs. Thurlow's class. Show me all the female students in Mrs. Thurlow's class. So we could do several different questions with that. So the first query is in Chapter 1, we use the query wizard. This chapter, we're going to be using the query designer. So just a different way to create it. They're both under create. We have query wizard and query designer. Query wizard was great for that very simple type query. Query designer is going to let you pick and choose and be a little more picky about what you can include. Okay, so I am starting on page 68 of your book if you want to follow along. So we're going to go to the Create Query Design, and we're going to do this several times for this chapter. We're going to make sure we're on the account table, so we have account and account manager. We want to be clicked on account table. Got to move this thing out of the way. Go ahead and hit add. So that's going to say, where do we want to pull our information from? We can go ahead and close this. To make this bigger, I simply just grab a hold of the edge, if my mouse will grab it, and I can make it bigger so I can see all the accounts. If you decide that you needed the other table, you can always hit show table, and that's going to bring up where you can pick and choose your tables again. And it's okay if you get one up here that you're not even going to use, but if you do want to get rid of it, you can just delete it out of there. Okay, we're ready to add the fields to the design grid. So down here is your design grid, and this is where we're going to list the fields that we want to show in our query results. So we only the fields, so here's all the fields available, but only the ones that are down here are going to show up whenever we run our query. So for this one, we want to see the account number. So the easiest way to do that is just double click. Double click here, it's going to add it down here. We want the account name, the amount paid, and the current due. So it's added these down here to our criteria area. Now, if you get them out of order, you can, if you see where my mouse is right now, I've got that black arrow pointing down. I can click on it and then I can drag it. Okay. Because the order you have these in will be important because that's the order they're going to show whenever you get your query results. Okay, so now besides for just showing the query, we can limit the data that we want to see. So we can use text data to type. So we only want to see the amount due for the account of JM323. So under the account number field, we're going to come down here to criteria. Criteria means only show me this information if. So down here where it has criteria, I'm going to type JM323 because that's the account I want to see. So that means only this account number information is going to show up. And I'm going to see their name, the amount paid, and the current due for them. So we're going to come up here to the top and hit the run with the red exclamation point. And now we can see here's their account number, their name, how much they've paid, and how much they currently owe, or the amount due. So to save this one, we're going to hit the quick save button, which is up here. If you don't see this showing, you can hit this arrow and make sure save is checked. I always have save, undo, and redo checked for all of my access. Okay, so then we can just hit save. It's going to say, what do you want to name this query? Because you have to do them separately. This query is going to be named M02Q01. Okay, this is going for Chapter 2, Query 1. And hit OK. You'll see now that it's listed over here in your query section. Okay, I'm on page 72 if you're following along in the book. Now we're going to talk about wildcards. You probably, if you've played some card games, you may know what a wildcard is. A wildcard just simply means anything will work here. So any card is going to work. If you're playing a card game, you might have a joker as a wild card, so that joker can be whatever card you want that joker to be. So in Access, we have two wild cards. The most common is the asterisk, which is like your multiplication sign, the star, shift 8. And this is going to represent any collection of characters. So if I would type T asterisk, it will give me everybody whose name starts with a T, no matter how many letters are in their name. If I know that I'm looking for someone, I can't remember if it's Tim or if it's Tom, I could type T question mark M. And what the question mark is going to do is only replace one letter. Because I know it starts with a T, I know it ends with an M, I know there's one letter in the middle. So if I do that, it will give me all the Tims and all the Toms. And if there's a Tam. So anything that starts with T, has another letter, and then ends with M, that's your question mark wildcard. But the asterisk is going to replace as many letters as you want. So for this one, we are going to continue working from the same query that we just did. So we're just going to modify this query. So we're going to go View, Design View. And that's going to take it in so that we can modify it. We're going to take out the account number that we had put in, and you'll notice it added the quotation marks around it. So we can either hit delete or backspace to get rid of that. And we know that the account name is going to start with a K. So on criteria, we're going to type capital K and then the asterisk. So that'll give us everybody who starts with a K, and we're going to hit run. So you can see here, we should have two. We have Cal Veterinary Services and Key Community College. It doesn't matter which order those come up in. Okay, this time I cannot just hit the regular save button. I have to do save as. So I'm going to go File, Save As. This time I'm going to do Save Object As, Save As. And it's going to ask me what I want to name this one. I'm going to name this one M02Q02. Okay, if I had done Save Database As, it would have saved the whole database, but we have to save this individual query. If I had hit the regular, the little shortcut up here for save, it would have overridden query 1. We needed to name it its own name, so it's its own query. Okay, to use criteria for a field not in the results. So we want to, in this one, we want to see all of the results that are in a certain city, but we don't want the city listed. So we have to add the city down to our design grid, but we're going to tell it not to show it. So for this one, only the accounts located in Granger, but we do not want to see the city listed. So we're going to go back to design view. We're still working with the same one. If you're using the same fields, it's easy just to modify them. We're going to erase our criteria. This time we're going to add city. We don't have city here, so I just come up here and double click city. It's going to add it. For criteria, I'm going to type Granger, Granger. And yes, you do have to spell that correctly. I'm having trouble with my keyboard. Granger. But we don't want it to show. So what we're going to do is check mark or unclick where it's got this show line. We're going to uncheck that so it does not show, but it's still going to use it as a criteria. And we're going to hit run. So now you should get the result of Bland, Cal, and Lancaster. These are all located in Granger. If you've got other companies showing up or not all three of these companies, then you have a mistake somewhere. And you're probably going to, I would go back to the design view, make sure you've typed Granger correctly. If that's correct, then you're going to need to go back to your actual account table, and you're going to have to look to make sure those cities all have Granger as, or those businesses all have Granger as their city, and that you have spelled Granger correctly. Okay, next we're going to create what's called a parameter query. And I know we have not saved that one yet. It's okay. Actually, let's go ahead and save it. So let's go File, Save As. Your book doesn't have you do it, but we're going to do it. Save Object As, Save As. And for this one, we're going to name it M02Q2 Granger. And I'm going to actually take out the space just so it's all together. But I want Granger on there so that whenever I'm grading your work, I can see that. Hit OK. All right. So now we're going to do a parameter query. A parameter query means sometimes we want to look at Granger, sometimes we want to look at other cities. So every time we run this query, we want it to pop up and say, what city are you wanting to see results for? That is a parameter query. It's going to ask us what specifically are we looking for whenever we run the query, so we don't have to set the query up every time. So to do this one, we're going to go back to design view. We're going to take out Granger. And where it has Granger, under criteria for the city, we're going to type a bracket. The bracket is the button beside your P, lowercase. So it's the square bracket. And we're going to type enter city and then closed bracket. Do not hit shift on those. So this time what we put in the brackets, it's going to pop up and ask us. Again, we do not want the city to show on our report, so we don't have to check mark that. We're going to hit run. Here it's going to say, what city do you want to see results for? We want to see for Wells, W-E-L-L-S, and hit OK. So we should see a result of 2. JSP Manufacturing and Mums Landscaping. If those are not the 2 you got, go back, double check your query. If your query looks correct, you're going to have to go back to your account table and double check to make sure that those 2 results are in Wells. And we're going to save this one. So File, Save As, Save Object As, Save As. And we're going to name this one differently. It's going to be Account-City Query. And hit OK. All right. To use the parameter query, you can use it just like any others. So we're going to right-click on this query. And you can just hit Open. Oh, sorry. I was in the wrong spot. I can close this one. Then if I right-click, Open, it's going to ask me what city. And again, I could type in the city that I want. So you don't ever have to go into that design view again to enter in your parameter. So if it looks like you're designing this, but other people are using it, and you don't want them to mess it up, this is what you're going to want to do so that they never enter that design view area. I'm going to hit cancel there. Okay, you can also use a number in a criteria. Remember, a number was different than just a regular. A number doesn't mean a digit because a zip code is not a number. So for this one, we want to display all accounts whose current due is 0. So we're going to go ahead and create query design. We're going to start from blank this time. Query design. We want the account table to show. We'll close that, make it a little bit bigger so we can see our account, see our fields here. We want the account number, the account name, the amount paid, and the current due. Okay, so down here we want to see those people who owe 0 money. So for current due in the criteria, we're going to type a 0. Make sure you do not type the $sign or commas. Just type the numbers, the digits. And we're ready to run our query. So it looks like the only person who does not owe us any money is Key Community College Systems. So we're going to save that one. Because this one has not already been named, we can just hit the regular save button. Now, if you are unsure or want to just be safe, you can always do the save as. For this one, we're going to name it M02Q03 and hit OK. Next, we're going to use a comparison operator. Comparison operators are just your greater than, equal to signs, greater than, less than, equal to, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, and not equal to. Okay, so if you want to look at those are on page 79 of your book. So you want to see those. So for this example, we want to find all account managers whose start date is after January 1st of 2015. So we want a date that is going to be greater than January 1st of 2015. So we're going to do a new query. So we're just going to close that one. Create query design. This time we're using the account manager field or account manager table. And if I can get my mouse on there, make that a little bit bigger. We want to see their account manager number, last name, first name, and their start date. And then for criteria, we're going to type greater than 1/01/2015. So that's going to give us anything greater than January 1st of 2015. You do not have to type the leading zero on the month portion, so you wouldn't have to type 01 there. Some people do. That's up to you. So we're going to run that one. So it looks like we have Peter and Karen. And you can look here and see that, yes, their start dates are after January 1st of 2015. We're going to save this one because we haven't already saved it. We can just hit the save button. And we're going to name this one M02Q04 and hit OK. A compound criteria means that we are going to look for two different things. So they have to meet two different criteria for us. You have two different types of criteria. Those are on page 80. There is the AND criteria and the OR criteria. In the AND criteria, for example, an AND criterion would allow you to find accounts that have the current due greater than $2,500 and the account manager is 31. So only those accounts that belong to manager 31 and the customer owes over $2,500 should appear. An OR criteria means it doesn't matter but they have which one they meet, but they have to meet one of the criteria. So they either have to belong to account manager 31 or they have to owe more than $2,500. So we're going to use a compound criteria involving AND. So we're going to close this one. Remember, we're closing with the little x. We're going to start a brand new one. Create, query design. We want the account manager table. And from the account manager table, we want to get the account number. Make it bigger. I have a hard time getting my mouse on there. Account manager number. Account name. Oops, I was wrong. We did not want the account manager table. We wanted the account table. So I'm just going to come down here. I can put my little cursor above it and get that little black arrow and then hit delete on my keyboard. So I need to go back to show table and I grab the account table. It's okay that the account manager table is still there. It's not going to matter. So from the account table, I want account number, account name, amount paid, current due, and the account manager number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. Okay, for our criteria, we're going to go to the criteria row. The amount due should be greater than $2,500, so greater than 2500, no dollar signs, no commas. And they also have to belong to account manager 31. So on the same criteria row, we're going to put 31 and run. So you should have a result of 3 people, Avondale, Midwest Library, and Tri-County Waste should be your results. We're going to save this one as M02Q05. Okay. Okay, next we're going to use the OR compound criteria. So we're going to go back to design view, design view. And this time we're going to take 31 off of this criteria row. We're going to delete it out. And we're going to come down here to the OR row and type 31. That means it can either meet this criteria or this criteria because it's on the OR row. It does not have to meet both criteria, one or the other. Run. And now you can see we have a lot more of them. So we're going to save this one as 06. So remember, we file, save as, save object as, save as. This is going to be M02Q06. And hit OK. There are some other special criteria, such as the AND that we use, between, and the IN operators. Those special criteria are listed on page 82. We're not going to go through all of those, but you will need to know how to do, I believe it's the between operator whenever you go to do your homework. So that is going to be on page 82. Basically, you're going to type between. So if you wanted to know anyone who owes between $20,000 and $40,000, you would type between $20,000 and $40,000 as the criteria in the amount paid column. Okay, so you could double check those on page 82. Okay, next we're going to look at some sorting because we've been getting these answers, but we haven't sorted them. So we can sort them by a primary key or a minor key, also called a secondary key. So to start this one, I'm going to do this a little bit differently than the book. We're going to close this one and we're going to start a new query, create, query design. We want to see from the account table, we want to see city. Oops, close that, and city. Okay. We want to sort and see where all of our accounts, what cities those are in. So under this sort option, we're going to put ascending, meaning we want them to be in alphabetical order. So this should just give us all the cities alphabetically. Run. There they are, and they are alphabetical. But you can see here that it's duplicated them. So we have 2 customers in Wells. So Wells is listed twice. Granger's listed 3 times, and so on. So what we want to do now is we just want to see the cities listed once. So even if we have more than 1 customer in a city, we only want to see that city listed 1 time. So we have not saved it yet, but we're going to return to the design view. And this time, we're going to go to the property sheet. Up here is your property sheet. We want to click on the second field, which is the empty one next to city. This is a little odd, but click here in the empty one because that's where we can set up a new rule. And then we're going to want to go to over here to the side where we've got our property sheet. And where it says unique values no, we want to change that to yes. Unique values, yes. That means only show me each value 1 time. They have to be unique for them to appear in the list. And run. Now you can see we have all the cities. They're in alphabetical order, but they are only listed 1 time. So let's go ahead and save this one. We're going to save it as M02Q07 and hit OK. All right, we can sort on multiple keys. So for example, if you have several things in your query, we want to sort for our next one, the amount paid, lowest to highest, within the account manager number. So we're going to have to sort by the account manager number, then sort those results from lowest to highest for amount paid. When you sort, the first field that is listed in your design grid is going to be the first one that sorts. So let's go back to design view. We're going to go ahead and remove city. So I'm just going to click up here at the top with that arrow and hit delete. We now have a blank slate. In the following order, we want to do account number, account name, account manager number. So I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. And then the amount paid. So because we want to sort first by account manager number and then by amount paid, the account manager number had to come first. So for a sort, we're going to do account manager number ascending and amount paid is going to be ascending. So then whenever we sort this, it's going to sort first by the account manager number and then by the amount paid. If we wanted to sort in this order, but we wanted the account manager number to show up over here at the end, we would have to put them both in this order, uncheck the show here and then add the account manager again over in this column. So that's not what we're doing. So leave them in this order, the 4 of them, and make sure they're all showing. Go ahead and hit run. And so now you should see that we have the account manager number. They're sorted here, 31, 35, 58. And then within 31, those are sorted from lowest to highest. Okay, we're going to save this one. So this time, because we copied one we just used, we're going to do File, Save As, Save Object As, Save As. And we're going to name this one M02Q08. So you can see these queries really aren't hard. They're just a lot of steps to do to them. Okay, next, we're going to do a top value query. So I'm going to return to the design view. And we're going to use the same query setup. So for a top value query, this is the easiest query to do. And I will tell you that this is one of the most common queries missed on the test. All it wants me to do for a top value query is show me the top 5 results, show me the top 20, show me the top 10%, whatever it is. So if you wanted to see the top 10% of your class, you could do a query, run this, and only return the top 10%. Okay, so to do that, we just come up here to return. And our book says we only want to see the top 5. We're going to click 5. Now, if it says show me the top 10 or 10% and those are not there, it's okay. You can type into this box. So we're going to do the top 5 and run. Now we only see the top 5 listed. We're going to save this one as again. So File, Save Object, Save As, Save Object As, Save Object As, Save As. We're going to name it M02Q09 and hit OK. All right, moving right along. This time we're going to join tables. So this is called making relationships. I'm going to go ahead and close this. So for example, we know that our account table has an account manager number, and that account manager number is the links to the account table. So the account table, account manager number can refer to the account manager table, who that account manager is. And if you want to see a diagram of that, that is on page 89 in your textbook. So we have to join these. Now, it's very simple if it works. However, if you have typed something wrong or not set your tables up correctly, this is not going to work. So let's see how you guys did. We're going to create design, query design. This time we're going to add both tables. Close that. Okay. So you can see here, if I can make it bigger, and I can also move them around, I have this join line here. Okay, that means this account manager number is going to be the same as the account manager number here. So those have a join line. If you did not get a join line, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go back to your tables, double check your account manager number, make sure the name is exactly the same, make sure if they have an alias, it's exactly the same, make sure that the field size is exactly the same. They have to be exactly the same for Access to realize that they are the same information, and for you to be able to go from here to see who that account manager is. Okay, so mine worked. So in my design grid, I want to include the account manager from the account manager table. So account manager table, I want the account manager number. Then From the account table, I want the account number and the account name. So this is going to tell me who my account managers are, what their accounts are, and their names. I'm going to sort this. Oops, I think I've missed one. Hold on. Let's back up. I'm going to start over. Okay, from the account manager table, I want the account manager number. I want their last name, their first name. Then from the account table, I want to see who the account numbers is and their name. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fields are showing. We want to sort these by the account number. So by the account number here, I'm going to do ascending and run. So here you can see we have account managers and who all the customers are and who they belong to. Oops, I think I sorted that wrong. I wanted account number. Oh, and account manager. Sorry, I missed a step. Go back to design view. Account manager number should be sorted first, so it's ascending, and then the account number is ascending. So by managers first, run. That's basically going to group all of my account managers together so we can see here Haiti Riviera and all of their accounts, Mark, all of his accounts, and Karen and all of her accounts. Okay, so we're going to File, Save As, Save Object As, Save As. We're going to name this one Manager-Account Query. And hit OK. All right. Okay, so next what we're going to do is look at the join properties. So we joined our fields together in the last one. So what we're going to do now is just go ahead and close this one. Oops, do I want to save it? Oops. That was Manager Account Query is what we should have open. Sure. Okay. I had to pause the video, so maybe that's why it asked me to save. It may not have asked you to save again. Okay, so we're going to do create. We're going to do query design. And we want to add both tables, but I want you to add them in this specific order. Account manager and then account. So you can add them in whatever orders you want. However, for the next step, you just have to pay a little bit more attention if your tables are not in the order in which I just told you to add them. So for our fields from the account manager table, we want the account manager number, last name, first name, and then from the account table, we want the account number and the account name. Okay, so here is our join line. We're going to go ahead and right-click on that join line to get our join properties. And in this one, we should have account manager as our left table name and then account as our right table name. If yours are not in that order, you're just going to have to pay a little bit more attention to which one of these options here you choose. So what this is, the first option says only include rows where the join fields from both tables are equal. So that means that there has to be an account manager number and the account manager has to have an account. So we have to have a manager and he has to have accounts. The second option, include all records from the account manager. So over here in the account manager, we want all the records, whether he has any accounts or not. And the third option is include all records from account and only those from account manager where the join fields are equal, meaning we want all the accounts whether they have a manager or not. Well, all of our accounts should have a manager, but we may have some managers out there with no accounts, and we want to see that they have no accounts. So if your tables here, left and right, are in different orders, then your 2 and 3 are going to be different. So just make sure that you read those carefully. We want to include all records where the account manager and only those records from the account are equal. So we want all managers to show even if they have no accounts. So we're going to click option 2. I'm going to hit OK. Nothing really happened there. But then whenever I go to run, you can see here that Peter has no accounts. So that's pretty bad of Peter. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and save this one. This time I'm going to name this one manager-account query 2. I guess I was supposed to modify the last one instead of create a new one. That's why the name's the same. Account manager-account query, and we'll just put a 2 after it. Hit OK. All right, now we're getting close to being finished. We're going to create a report from a query. So just like we did reports in the last chapter, this time we're creating the report from the query. So I'm going to close that. We want the report to be based on the manager account query. So before I start, I'm going to come down here to manager account query 2. I'm going to click on it one time. Then I'm going to do create. I'm going to go to report wizard. There's my report wizard. I want to make sure here under tables and queries, it says query manager-account query 2. We're going to go ahead and hit for our fields. We want to see all of them. So I can just hit this double arrow here and it's going to move them all over. Because we're not going to specify, we're going to go next. We're not specifying any grouping because we already told it how to sort. I believe we did. Actually, I'm going to cancel this and go back to that. Let's just double check. Design view. Oh, we want to sort by account manager number and then by account number. Because I accidentally created a new query, we want to make sure that we put those ascending and ascending on and just hit the save button. Okay, then you can go ahead and close that out. Okay, let's go back into, we're clicked on it once, create, report wizard, move them all over, next. We don't have to specify because we have them sorted. So we're going to do next. Okay, we don't have to worry about sorting here, so we can hit next. If we hadn't already sorted, we could sort here. We want it to be the tabular. That means it's going to look like a table. We want it to be portrait. Adjust the fields width so all fields will fit on the page and hit next. We want to name this manager-account report. And we're going to preview the report. So hit finish and we should get our report. So here's our report. We do want to make sure all of our, we're just looking at it here. So all we can do here is look. If we wanted, it says to close the report. And then it says if you want to print a report, all you have to do is make sure that your report is selected, the manager account report, not opened, but just selected. Then we're going to go to the back view and we're going to go print. And then you could always hit quick print. We'll just hit print preview to look at it since we don't really print anything here. Okay. So all right. Next, we're going to create a form for a query. So we've got our report done. So for the query, we want the manager account query number 2 selected. So just click on it. On our ribbon, we're going to do create form. This is still super easy. And here is our form. That's all we have to do. We're going to hit the save up here in our quick access toolbar. And we're going to name it manager-account form. Hit OK. All right. We are not going to create the export file, but I do want you to watch as I do this. So if we wanted to take any information and put it in an Excel file so that we can do it later on, it's exactly like whenever we import. So all I would have to do is make sure that I am clicked on the correct thing, which is this manager account query number 2. I do external, and this time instead of on the import side, I would go export, Excel, and I can tell it what to name it. I am going to, I want Excel. And then I would just hit OK and close, and it would have saved that as an Excel file that I could then open and look at in Excel. Okay, so now there's some other information in your textbook. I am on page 100. So I would recommend that you look through that. That talks about exporting. And then we're going to go on to page 102, which is where we're going to restrict the records in a join. So we're going to add some criteria to our joins. So we want to see only those accounts whose amount paid is more than $20,000. So we are clicking on the account manager query number 2. Go to design view, design view here. Then for the amount paid, we are going to add that to the query. So here, amount paid, we'll add that on to the end. For the criteria, we want that to be greater than 20,000. Make sure you do not type the $ or any commas. We will run that. So now you can see all of these with the amount paid, they all owe more than $20,000. Okay, we're going to file. Oh, it says go ahead and close. When it says you want to save the changes, hit no. So we're not even going to save that query. Okay, next we're going to do what's called a calculation in a query. It's not hard, but it's not as straightforward as what you saw in Excel. So we want to know the total amount for each customer. So the amount they've already paid and how much they still owe, so that we know what their total, basically how much they have spent with us. This is going to be called a calculated field or a computed field. So it's a little bit different. So we want to create a query with a field list for the account table. So we're going to start new, create, query design. This is going to come from the account table. I can grab a hold of it there. We are going to want the account number, the account name, amount paid, current due is the fields we want. So 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. And we're ready to do our calculation. So what we have to do is we go to the next blank column, and we're going to click on Zoom. So click here. No, I don't do this very often. Right click on it and zoom. I know you want to hit that calculation, but really you need to hit the zoom button. So we right click to do that, and then we have to type our formula. It's not like in Excel where we can click around. So our formula is going to be total amount, which is going to be what our new field is going to be named, colon, space. Then in brackets, because we're pulling exact information, we want this to say amount paid, bracket, plus, bracket, current due, bracket. Remember, brackets, you do not hit shift. Now, if you had misspelled amount paid down here, then you have to misspell amount paid up here. These have to be identical and have to pull from your fields available. Hit OK. So now you can see we have a new column listed. Hit run. And now you should have a total amount column. I'm going to go ahead and just make that column fit into my box there. Remember, if you misspelled anything, it's not going to work. So we want to change some captions like we did in chapter 1. So we're going to go back to the design view. Okay, and this time for amount paid. Oh, hold on. Turn to design view. In the amount paid field over here, we are going to change the caption or what it shows. So how we do that is we're going to go back to this property sheet. And here where it says caption, that's where we are now going to type paid. So just paid. We don't want to see amount paid. We just want it to come up as paid on our form. Okay, we're going to click on current due. And over here on its property sheet for caption, we're going to put due, D-U-E. So that's going to be the words that we see. We're going to run. So now you can see we have paid, due, and total amount. Okay, next we're going to calculate some statistics. This is going to be using count, sum, average, max, min, standard deviation, variance, first value, last value. So we want to go ahead and hit save on that one. Oh, and it wants us to name it. It was named M02Q10. The great thing about Access is it does ask you if you want to save things before you leave it. Yes, you want to save those. Hit OK. We're going to close it. So for this one, we're going to create a new query. So create, query design. This time we're going to click the tools button down here at the bottom. Oh, sorry, the table we want is the account table. Okay. We're going to add the amount paid. So you can double click up here. You can also come down here and just add amount paid. So I want to show us a different way to do that. And we want to group. So for where it says total, it doesn't say total yet. To get that, we have to hit the totals up here. There we go. Now I've got total down here in my bottom. I want to group by, and I want to change group by to show average. So average and run. So what this is going to give me is the average amount paid for all of my accounts. Okay, it does not have us save that, but we're going to go back to our design view. View, design view. This time we want to add the account manager number. Again, you can do it up here or you can do it at the bottom. And where we've got group by, we want to change that one to be total. So total is a sum. So we want to find the average amount paid. That's not right. We don't want sum there. We want where. Sorry. where. So where is going to follow along where their criteria is 31. So we only want to know the average amount paid for all of our accounts where the account number is number 31. Sorry, I messed that one up again. Account manager number is 31. Amount paid, average, account manager number 31, then run. And so the average account for account manager 31 is going to be 18,511. We're going to save this one. Just going to go over here to close. Do I want to save the changes? Yes, I do. And I want to name it M02Q11. Hit OK. Okay, we're going to do some more grouping here. We're going to go back to our design view for the same. Oh, nope, it says clear it. So we're starting over. Create, query design. This time we want the account manager table. Sorry, let me make sure. Nope, account table. And we want to get the account manager number and the amount paid. Okay, we want average to be the calculation for the amount paid. So in order to get the calculation, again, I got to come up here and hit totals. So amount paid, I want it to be average again. And we're going to run this one. This time it's going to group our account manager numbers so that we can see the average for each account manager. We are going to save this query as M02Q12 and hit OK. Okay, we are not going to do the crosstab query, so you can skip over that in the book. And that is the end of this chapter. So then you'll have 2 assignments to do. Let me know if you have any questions.